The Oak of Justice. It was a crisp Saturday morning in Maplewood Estates, a tidy suburban enclave where manicured lawns and picket fences whispered of order. I was in the kitchen, savoring the first sip of black coffee, when a scream shattered the quiet. My daughter, Lily, 7 years old and blind since birth, was calling for me. The mug slipped from my hand, exploding on the tile floor. I didn't grab my phone or shoes. I ran. On the front porch, the world stopped. Lily was tied to the old oak tree in our yard, her wrists bound with coarse yellow rope. Her guide cane lay snapped in half, discarded like trash. Her face was bruised, her small body trembling as she sobbed. Standing over her, smirking, was Margaret Heller, the HOA president, her arms crossed like she'd just won a prize. "She's a nuisance, Daniel," Margaret said, her voice dripping with contempt. Her tapping and muttering ruin our neighborhood's peace. "I'm a federal agent, 23 years with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. I've faced down embezzlers and kingpins, but nothing prepared me for this." Margaret didn't know she'd just crossed the daughter of a man who hunts monsters for a living. I didn't call the cops. I ripped the rope off Lily, slammed Margaret against the same tree, and drove the broken cane through her hand. "You want to break something, Margaret?" I growled. "Let's start with your empire." Lily whimpered, her voice breaking. "Daddy, why do they hate me?" My vision blurred with rage. Margaret laughed, unbothered. "This community backs me, Daniel. We've purged 4 families like yours. Your little freak is next." That word freak lit a fuse in me. I wasn't just a father anymore. I was vengeance. I carried Lily to the porch swing, wrapping her in her soft blue blanket. Her hands shook as she reached for the broken cane, flinching at its jagged edges. "You're safe now," I whispered, but my eyes locked on Margaret. "That cane cost us months of savings," I said, voice like ice. "It was her freedom. You broke it because her joy inconvenienced you." Margaret rolled her eyes. "Keep her inside, then. Spare us the sob story." I moved fast, pinning her against the tree. The bark scraped her shoulders. Her sunglasses cracked on the ground. "I've hunted real monsters," I said. "You're just a coward with a clipboard." She gasped. "You're insane." But panic flickered in her eyes. I let her go, picking up the cane's pieces. "We're not leaving, Margaret. You are." That night, with Lily asleep clutching her blanket, I opened my laptop not as a father, but as an agent with a vendetta. I typed Maplewood Estates HOA into our federal database. The screen lit up with red flags. 6 families, all with disabled children, were forced out over 3 years. The Thompsons, fined for their autistic son's therapy sessions. The Garcias, harassed for a wheelchair ramp. The Patels, targeted for their blind daughter's guide dog. Margaret's emails were surgical. Another defective family gone. 5 down. This wasn't HOA politics. It was a quiet purge. I called Agent Laura Bennett, my old partner. "Laura, it's war," I said. A 7-year-old blind girl was tied to a tree. My daughter, Lily, Margaret Heller, HOA president, did it. She's been running a campaign to exterminate families like mine. Laura's voice tightened. "Evidence. Emails, transactions, dates enough to bury her." "You want a task force?" she asked. "No," I said. "I want her kingdom burned publicly." Cuffs snapping in front of her board. I printed 72 flyers. Urgent community safety meeting. Mandatory attendance. I slipped them under every doorstep at dusk. Margaret would walk into her execution. 3 nights later, she strutted into the Maplewood Community Hall, her silk blazer gleaming, a diamond pin glinting like a crown. "Let's make this quick," she said, clipboard in hand. "Is this about those tacky RVs on Elm Street?" My fists clenched. Lily sat beside me, gripping my hand. When Margaret saw us, her lip curled. "Oh, Daniel brought the little noisemaker." I stood, voice steady. "This is about safety, Margaret, but not RVs." The room hushed. 3 weeks ago, my daughter was tied to a tree by someone here. Assaulted. Humiliated. Her cane shattered. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Margaret froze. I clicked a remote, and a screen lit up. $73,247 in red. HOA funds Margaret funneled to her account. Fraud. Documented. Next slide. Her emails. Child is unsightly. Target removed. Defective stock thinned. The room went silent. Margaret stammered. "This is a smear campaign." I pressed the final slide. My FBI badge. "I've hunted predators for 2 decades. You're just meaner than most." Her face paled. Then Lily stood, small but steady. "Mrs. Heller," she said, "you hate me because I'm blind. I heard you say I'm ugly, that I scare people. You broke my cane because I played in my yard." Her voice cracked. "I'm not broken. I'm just different. And that's okay." Margaret snapped. "You don't belong here. None of you do." That was her mistake. Laura appeared, flanked by 2 agents. "Margaret Heller, you're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, civil rights violations, and assault on a disabled minor." Cuffs clicked. Margaret screamed, a raw, animalistic howl, as they dragged her out. Her board members Richard, Ellen, and Carl tried to flee. They didn't make it. The room erupted, not in chaos but relief. Mrs. Clara Evans, a 75-year-old widow, stood. "I saw Margaret tie Lily. She threatened to evict my grandson if I spoke." Others followed. "She fined my daughter for playing piano. She called my son's wheelchair ramp an eyesore." Each story was a nail in Margaret's legacy. Outside, cameras flashed. Laura turned to me. "She's in federal holding. No bail." I nodded. "Make sure her cell has no windows. She hates being unseen." Lily leaned into me, whispering, "Daddy, is it over?" I squeezed her hand. "It's just beginning, sweetheart." 8 weeks later, spring crept into Maplewood. Lily no longer flinched at the oak tree. One morning, she called me outside. At the tree's base was a sapling, delicate and green. "Mrs. Bennett says it's a volunteer," Lily said. "It grows from the old roots, like it remembers." She smiled. "I'm naming it Lily. It grew where something bad happened, and it's not afraid." I pulled her close, speechless. The community planted flowers around the sapling, adding a plaque, in honor of resilience, for every child told they don't belong. Lily spoke at schools, city councils, even the state legislature, her message clear: being different doesn't make you less. Being cruel does. Margaret was sentenced to 15 years, no parole. The HOA was dismantled, its fines reversed. A fund for disabled children, named for Lily, was established. Lily stood under the sapling one evening, now nearly her height. "This tree will outlast her," she said. "So will you," I replied. She'd outgrown Margaret's hate, not with fists but with roots steady, unshakable. This isn't just about justice catching up. It's about what happens when cruelty meets courage. Margaret tried to chain Lily to a tree, but she gave her a stage. Kindness, resilience, and difference aren't weakness as theory, the strongest roots we grow. What do you think? Have you faced injustice or violence in your community? Share your story in the comments. Do you think Margaret deserved her fate, or was justice too harsh? Let's debate. Your voice matters.